Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you game 1 in a best of 3 between Guddi and Gal O'Neill, and this is round 2 of the Great Paradox Tourney. So in round 1 we saw Gal O'Neill take on Duro SVK and defeat him 2-0, which was quite a convincing fight indeed. But we haven't seen Guddi before, and that's because his opponent didn't show up for round 1, and therefore he received a bye to round 2. However, if I'm thinking correctly, I know that Guddi is a pretty decent player, so we're in for some, hopefully, pretty competitive games. But we'll have to wait and see, of course. So this is Hill 112, and the matchup in this one is the 15th Infantry Scots versus the 21st Panzer, Guddi with the 15th Infantry, and Gal with the 21st Panzer. So a matchup we've seen before quite a few times, just not on this map. And this map can actually be quite difficult for the 15th Infantry to play around because of the dodgy sightlines. Things like Churchill 5s won't be as effective, a lot like we've seen in the past with Churchill, or Cromwell, sorry, not being as effective. The Cromwell 6s, that is. But either way, Churchill 5s, I wonder if Guddi will actually bring any of them. We can start to have a look at some of the units he's already placed down. Looks like 3 units of rifles down here with the command infantry. There's an AT gun in there and some recon. AT gun, MG, command infantry, recon. And it looks like pretty much the same combo up the top, except from changing a unit of MG for rifles instead. That's absolutely fine. But yeah, no Churchill 5s just yet. Over on the side of Gal O'Neill, we have the Panzer IV-C there. We've got a 251 with Speartroop. There's some Panzer Grenadiers. Looks like the Maltier here has been put down with the Pak 43. Nope, going to be changing his mind. I was going to say that seems pretty expensive at the start of the game for the 21st Panzer. Especially if it gets out-microed by something like a Churchill 5, which could definitely happen. But the SPW-222 is deployed, 2-star, that's very nice indeed, with a command vehicle as well. Could be a 3-star 222 we see. And a U-304 going down at the top side with the Pak 38. So it's likely that Gal O'Neill here replaced his Pak 43 with 2 Pak 38s, which does kind of make more sense on this map, based on the fact that Churchill 5s aren't going to be as prevalent unless they can find the high ground. But even so, you're going to have a lot closer range engagement if that's the case, because the higher you go, the closer the engagement's going to be. And therefore, Pak 38s can do the job against something like a Churchill because they have the penetration at closer ranges. But yeah, Pak 43 would be great for engaging them at longer range, but doesn't look like that's going to be the case in this one. And you always have things like the S307 packs for that anyway, although maybe Gal O'Neill doesn't bring those in his division. We'll have to wait and see if they come out at any point. Generally, they are deployed in Phase A just because you have that 1,200 meter range advantage with them. But the only place that's really going to work is maybe down this road, if he can get into a nice position, or maybe on the bomb side. Again, if you can get into a decent position up here, for example, you can fire down onto this road and stop reinforcements, gain a little bit of ground that way. And that's pretty much how it works. So nothing more going down for Guddi. He must have spent all of his points by the looks of things. No Churchill at the start, and no S307 packs for Gal or the Pak 43. So no 1,200 meter range engagement for either players, which is a very interesting thought when you think about how we've seen these divisions played previously. And it just comes down to the fact that in a lot of cases, players do play divisions differently anyway. There's 2 very distinct ways of playing the 716th, for example, a division that you guys know that I enjoy a lot. So yeah, I think it's just interesting to see how different players play the different divisions. But in this case, I feel like what's going to happen is Gal O'Neill's going to unload these Pak 43s. They're going to end up killing these MG carriers and the command carriers, and that might allow the half tracks and the 20mm autocannons to overrun the infantry that's coming towards him. However, he will have the quite high veteran 6-pounders to deal with, which can be rather deadly. But then they can be quite easily sorted by recon and mortars. So again, we have to wait to see if those combinations come out. But so far, you know, pretty decent recon for Gal O'Neill. Let's see what he can see. He can see the movement on the top side here. An armoured car moving up onto the top. Command carrier coming at him in the mid. So some pretty decent information. On the other side of things, the 222 has been spotted, and a few half tracks. So based on the half tracks, you can see, you can generally predict what the units are going to be. Like 251 half tracks are generally speared through, but that is pretty obvious. The U304s though, maybe not so obvious. Armor penetration crew hit, very nice indeed. And I've just got to note that we are seeing this on the latest patch now. So the increased amount of criticals is in the game, and you saw that there with the half track going down. Gal O'Neill returns the favour with his Pack 38. So +1 currently for Guddi. He's found his command carrier a way up onto this hill, and that has given him the little salient up there that is pushing the +1 early on in the game. Gal did manage to make 23 points, but nothing significant this far into the game. And it's pretty quiet across the entire front at the moment. Both players likely just reinforcing, bringing in the units that they think they will need in order to punch through. So for Guddi, that will be a Churchill 5, and for Gal O'Neill, that's going to be a 257. So it's just a matter of like spotting these 6-pounders and taking them out. Guddi... Well, let's go to Gal O'Neill's perspective actually. He's bringing that mortar up the hill. He's left an attack beacon on the 6-pounder down here so that he can mortar that in the future as well. And it will be up to him in order to, you know, redirect his mortar onto that position. Wow. You know, Bren Group there getting absolutely torn to pieces by the 20mm of the 222. They didn't last very long at all. There's also an AA on the way, which is a Tripolston, which is another one coming up to the top side as well. Now in general, I think that's quite a weird choice from Guddi, because the 21st Panzer doesn't really have any decent aircraft in Phase A. So unless he's going to rely on that to kill infantry early on, it seems like an odd choice to me. So the Panzer IV-C are going to be going for the kill onto the command carrier. The attack beacon was still down on the 6-pounder, but the mortar's on the top side. Panzer IV did find the kill. Looks like a second mortar carrier coming in to deal with that 6-pounder, whilst this one helps out at the top side. So the 259 here is helping clean up the MG carrier. Panzer Grenadiers are moving into this tree line, however some Bren Group in the way. But Bren Group don't really last too long. Churchill now is engaging the 251 half-track, and the Panzer IV-C has found a shot onto the Tripolston before Guddi tries to move that away, and it looks like it may just get out of line of sight. So that Tripolston spotted as well, going to get mortared almost instantly. So what do both players need to do here? Well, for Gal O'Neill it's pretty simple. Get the mortars on target of the AT guns, and then push based on that. For Guddi, it's finding kills with the Churchill onto things like the Pack 38s, but also the 259s and the 222s, because 2 armour can be taken out by the 13 HE of a Churchill 5. I've seen it happen before, and it can definitely happen again. So if Guddi is persistent enough with this Churchill 5 and maybe brings in another one, He could do a lot of damage to these lighter armoured vehicles that Gal O'Neill is using currently. But mortar fire coming down here. It looks like he's got recon onto that AT gun. Yes, this Alpha player can see it very nicely indeed. So, going to be getting some pretty accurate hits towards this 6-pounder. And Guddi's going to have to make sure that he continues to micro that away, otherwise it will most definitely die eventually. So you can see how poorly 259s do against the Churchills. However, there's a pretty good chance of penetration from a 4 AP 20mm at close range onto the Churchill. I think I've had a Lux kill my Churchill 5 before, which in real life is pretty silly, but in this game can definitely happen. Panzer Grenadier currently being pinned down by these MMG carriers. I really like these MMG carriers. They bring in recon and you know, generally can act as really good fire support. And as a 15th Infantry Scots, it does sort of reveal the fact that you bring in recon, but just in general they are really fantastic. Look how much damage it did to that Panzer Grenadier squad. 6-pounder has died on the bottom side. That is pretty important to note, especially considering this Panzer IV-C is now completely free to push up and is currently attacking the Tripolston. Bren group also going down there. So it looks like some artillery coming down onto this tree line just to maybe allow the Aufklärer to continue to move through and spot some more units. In the top, the 259 going to be winning the engagement against the Tripolston. Looks like the Tripolston MG carrier almost pinned the 259, which could have turned around that engagement, but nope, the Tripolston just getting away for now. MG carrier still making a run for it. More Panzer Grenadiers have arrived on the top side. It's currently a +1 for Gal O'Neill. Oh, Tripolston absolutely annihilated the speared troop in the bottom side. And we do see the mortar now opening up on the middle tier onto that 6-pounder, and the 6-pounder's gone down. The spear troop must have spotted that. And honestly, Gal O'Neill is starting to open up some holes in the defence of Guddi. So depending on what is brought in at this point, we could see a breakthrough. Either at this top side, you know, the 259 could very easily support a push onto these rifles. However, it is on low on ammo. So it's more likely that we're going to see a push on this bottom side. However, a Lloyd carrier now bringing in another 6-pounder. 20 or Pack 43, sorry, being brought up to the mid. Let's see if that can take care of the Churchill 5. However, the Churchill 5 is now moving down to the bottom side, maybe to put some pressure onto the Panzer IV. So let's see what he fires at. He's actually just going to be engaging the half-track for now, which is fine. The 6-pounder has found a engine destroy onto the Panzer IV-C. But the 257's already on target, and it looks like it's going to be able to pin down the 6-pounder before it can get the kill. Now, in the latest patch, these criticals can be repaired, so this Panzer IV-C might remain alive for the rest of the game. In the top, looks like the push has come through, the half-track supporting the Panzer Grenadiers on a push onto these rifles. The Tripolston was taken out there as well, and both of the Tripolstons that were brought in, or all three of them actually, I think are dead. And they didn't really do too much. Spitfire does get the bombing strike onto one of the Panzer Grenadiers to finish them off, so that's okay. And it looks like the 251 was pushing through to maybe try and get a surrender onto the 6-pounder. But this 6-pounder is going to kill that 251 if it moves any further, that's for sure. 6-pounder now, or the Panzer IV-C now firing back at the Churchill 5. I'm interested to see if Gal will actually try and repair this. That 6-pounder really wants to get on target. Has found a shot towards that U-304. But 53% territory currently for Gal O'Neill. as he pretty much takes full control of this top side. The top tier controlled by the two 259s. The second one reinforcing. These Panzer Grenadiers could possibly end up revealing the Recce. The Recce aren't on return fire. So that's actually going to end up letting the half-track and the 259 kill that off. And Guddi loses his information. Had that been on return fire, I think he would have been in a pretty decent spot. Pack 43 is trying to find the angle onto the Churchill 5 as the mortar carrier smokes it away. We also have like the 222 going for the kill here as well. We could very easily, however, has been distracted and taken out the Vickers HMG. Big push coming through in the mid. So there is this AT gun on the bottom side, but with the AT gun dead in the middle as well due to this mortar, a lot of pressure is being put on all across the map. And it's just some very precise moves in this game that have led to such a lead, really, for Gal O'Neill. I think the investment from Guddi into the Tripolstons was not necessary at all, because we haven't seen a single plane come out. The other thing to mention is that the 6-pounders have been mortared very effectively by Gal O'Neill, which has led to this opening. So the 222 at close range on this Churchill can do a lot of damage, and a weapon jam is a start. That weapon jam means the Churchill 5 cannot fire, and that is going to be a surrendered Churchill 5. The Pack 43 there, firing the shot that made it fall back. And the bomber not quite there in time to stop that from happening. So that is a big deal. Churchill 5, 110 points, gets surrendered by a 222 that has been in the game from the start. So the 259 is going to have to deal with the 6-pounder here. This 6-pounder could easily clean up both of these 259s and maybe the half-tracks as well. But with the 259 taking out the MMG carrier here, the infantry won't make too much ground against Panzergrens. So Gal's going to have a pretty solid hold here, but may lose his armoured cars in the process. Let's see if this 259 goes down. Most definitely. There's a second 6-pounder on the second tier. One thing I am surprised about is how we haven't seen a breakthrough in the mid yet. 6-pounder, is it going to get pinned down before it can get a kill? No, it's not. Panzer IV C is finished off. Engine destroyed for quite a while there. U-304 making sure to pin down that 6-pounder as another half-track comes up to join him. Panzer Grenadier still pushing forwards. We are seeing 57% territory lead for Gal O'Neill. That's going to be 58% now, a +2. Pack 43 finding the direct shot onto the 6-pounder. We also see the 257 having a go. Or if that could get the kill onto the 6-pounder there, that would be very, very nice indeed. But a Challenger now on the way in the bottom side. It's not often you see a Challenger come out in Phase B. It could be quite a good idea, especially if Gal O'Neill is investing in things like Panzer IVGs, because the Challenger will outrange it. Unless Guddi accidentally moves into range. Depends if Guddi can see the Panzer IV coming or not. Yeah, you don't want to be moving this Challenger into the 1,000 meter range of the Panzer IV, or you're going to be in a very bad spot indeed. Brumbar's going to be going ahead and taking out the 6-pounder there. And that's going to open up the bottom side quite a lot to these half-tracks. The infantry is also not going to last too long against the Brumbar. However, we are seeing the Challenger take a shot at the Brumbar. And that's something that I would expect to see continue. That Challenger definitely is the best chance Guddi has at killing this at the moment. Bomber has come in there and took out Pack 38 on the top. Panzergrens were engaging the rifle leader, but have now been pinned down by the MMG carrier. So the Brumbar currently falling back. Critical ammo explosion. Very nice shot from the Challenger there. Bofa's going to be pinning down the 222. But I think Gal is really looking for the close range engagement onto this Challenger, just because his veteran Panzer IV should do a very good job indeed. This Challenger has found line of sight onto the 222 without being in line of sight the Panzer IV, which is quite a big deal. But has the Pak 43 found line of sight? Because if he has, that could be very deadly for this Challenger. And especially considering his morale has now been lowered quite significantly, the Panzer IV-G is quite free to roll around the corner and maybe try and go for that one-shot kill. So up in this top side, on the top tier, the Panzergren's still holding back this infantry as expected, even without the support of the 259s. Assault Pioneers, Bren Group and Rifles just aren't really good enough to take care of the MG42s that the Panzergrens can show. But Panzer IV-G here, that's going to be going for the engagement with the Challenger. Oh, they both hit each other. Spalling, driver wounded, but the Pak 43 finishing off the Challenger there. And yeah, nice play by Guddi. Tried to bomb out the Panzer IV in order to get that favourable engagement, but moving up into line of sight of the Pak 43 wasn't the best idea, and that got himself killed. We do see now pips being invested upon. Oh, as I accidentally zoom into a Opel Blitz munition. Really, really nice paint job on that Focke-Wulf. Yeah, it's just a matter of time really until this MMG carrier is dealt with, and then the Vickers HMG dies, and then that opens up pretty much the middle of the map entirely. And with that Challenger now gone and the Panzer IV-G still alive, that's a big disparity in the middle of the map. We are seeing a Churchill 7 being invested upon, which could deal with things like Panzer IV-G, but not the Pak 43. And there's no 25-pounder in sight, so these Pak 43s could very easily be alive for a very long time. Now moving this Pak 43 up to the top side is really good actually, to try and take care of these infantry squads. And he can continue to move the Panzergrenadier through this tree line and try and take out the 6-pounder that was in his way earlier. So there you go, with the MG gone and the MMG carrier, that has opened up the mid quite a lot, 63% territory in favour of Gal O'Neill, doing very, very well in this game. Knows his win condition, mortaring those AT guns in order to allow his units to support his infantry. I think also, you know, Guddi didn't choose to bring in a Churchill 5 at the beginning, but probably could have, and that might have served him a little better. 222 currently going for the shot onto the Churchill 5, but it looks like the Panzer IV-G's going to get the spalling. Crew wounded there. Shooter knocked out, transmission damage as well. This 3-star Panzer IV at close range is very deadly indeed. We also have the Pak 43 just waiting for line of sight onto these tanks. And if they find it, it could be pretty much game over. Gepard moving up here to support. Just trying to stop bombing strikes, I guess, onto these Pak 43s. Bren Group is still up at the top side, but has been surrounded. Can this Panzer IV find a kill onto this Churchill? That's what I'm looking for. Looks like the Spitfire is going to try and stop that from happening. Force the Panzer IV-G to fall back, then the Churchill 5 can move up to take it out. However, I kind of feel like the Pak 43 is just going to kill off the Churchill like we've seen before. Nope, never mind. Worked that time. Good job by Guddi. Indeed. Oh dear. Shooter knocked out by Gal O'Neill. We also see engine stall. Oh, and the side shot coming in from the Pak 43 there. The Churchill 5 not going to be doing anything as Guddi surrenders. He's had enough. Looks like that Churchill 7 kill pushed him over the edge, and after 20 minutes and 21 seconds, Gal O'Neill is victorious with quite a significant lead. 1,550 kills to 815 losses, accumulated 1,028 points. So really well played by Gal O'Neill. Got the mortars in at the right time, took out the AT guns, took advantage of that with the 259s, especially at the top side of the map, and really just gave him the advantage he needed in order to push all the way through. And like without the AT guns of the 15th Infantry Scots there, you know, all of those half tracks that you have and all of the 20mm autocannons you have just become that much more effective. It's a lot like playing the 9th Panzer into these kinds of divisions. As soon as you take out the AT guns, you can dominate the map. And that's kind of what Gal O'Neill did in the middle. Although I kind of feel like there was a big mistake from Guddi, like investing in so many tripolstons in Phase A. I don't really understand that. And I feel like that may have wasted a lot of points that could have been better spent elsewhere. Like on something like a 25 pounder or something that would have helped maybe counter battery the mortars or deal with some of the AT guns on the opposite side of things, because he still wants to use his Churchills effectively. But if there's Pack 43s everywhere, how are you supposed to do that? You need something like a 25 pounder to take those out. And that's what I would have hoped to have seen. But either way, well played by Gal O'Neill, picking up the victory this time around. We did see the Challenger take out the Brumbar, but I believe that got taken out by the Pack 43 when it went for the engagement onto the Panzer IV. Maybe a bit of a mistake because the Pack 43 had revealed itself previously. But in terms of losses, the Panzer IV-C in the bottom side did a nice amount of work. Tripolston was taken out by a U-304 half-track. 259 at the top side took out the MG carrier there, and we see the Pack 43 in the mid taking out both a Churchill 5 and a Challenger. Very nice indeed. Pack 43 picking off a 6-pounder, and the Churchill 7 kill that led to the surrender. Very nice indeed. Well, that was game 1 of a best of 3 between Guddi and Gal O'Neill, and Gal O'Neill took that one, so just needs to win one more in order to move on to round 3 of the Great Paradox Tourney. Guddi needs to now win 2 in a row. But that's all for now. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.